The door slammed shut behind her. Not gently, not politely. Hard enough to echo through the marble hallway. Elara froze, her heart pounding as the sound bounced off walls she did not belong in. She turned slowly, clutching her worn handbag like it was armor, and came face to face with the man everyone in the city feared disappointing. Adrian Blackwood did not apologize for the slammed door. He did not smile. He didn't even look surprised to see her standing there, wide-eyed and tense, like a trespasser caught too late. "You're late," he said. His voice was calm. That made it worse. Elara swallowed. "Your assistant said noon." "It's 11:57. She blinked. "That's not late." "It is to me." Silence stretched between them, thick and uncomfortable. Elara straightened her shoulders. She had not come this far to be intimidated by a man in an expensive suit with too much confidence. If punctuality is your only requirement, then this meeting could have been an email. That finally earned her a look. Adrian's dark eyes lifted, sharp and assessing, as if he were seeing her for the first time. Not just her face, but her spine, her tone, her refusal to shrink. "Interesting." "Sit," he said, gesturing to the chair across from his desk. She didn't move. "I prefer to stand." A pause. Then, unexpectedly, Adrian leaned back in his chair. "Good. This conversation requires honesty. Sitting makes people lie." Elara exhaled slowly. "Then let's be honest. Why am I here?" He studied her for a moment too long, not in a way that felt inappropriate, but calculated, like he was measuring consequences. "You're here," Adrian said, "because I need a wife." The words hit her like cold water. She laughed once, sharp and disbelieving. "I'm sorry, what?" "A temporary wife," he corrected calmly. 6 months, public only." Elara shook her head, already stepping back. "You've lost your mind." "Sit down," he said again, firmer this time. She should have walked out. She didn't. She sat. Adrian slid a thin folder across the desk. "Read." "I'm not signing anything," she snapped. "You haven't even opened it." She hesitated, then flipped it open. Her eyes skimmed words that made less and less sense the further she read. Marriage contract, media appearances, non-disclosure agreements. And then she saw the number. Her breath caught. "That's not real," she whispered. "It is," Adrian said, "and it's yours if you agree." Elara looked up sharply. "Why me?" "Because you're invisible," he said without cruelty. "No scandals, no past attachments, no ambition to be famous." Her jaw tightened. "You don't know me." "I know enough." She stood abruptly. "Find someone else." Adrian didn't stop her. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't threaten. He simply said, "Your mother's treatment gets cut off in 3 weeks." Elara froze. The room spun slightly. "What did you say?" "You've been working 2 jobs," he continued calmly. "Selling your car, borrowing money you can't repay. You're out of options." Her hands shook. "You investigated me." "I protect my investments." "I'm not an investment," she snapped, tears burning behind her eyes. "No," Adrian said quietly. "You're a solution." Silence swallowed them both. Elara laughed again, but this time it broke halfway through. "So this is blackmail." "No," he corrected. "This is an offer. You can walk away." She turned to him, eyes blazing. "Knowing my mother might die." Adrian met her gaze. "Knowing she won't if you stay." The words sank deep, heavy, final. Elara sat back down slowly. "Rules," she said, "if I even consider this." Adrian nodded. "I have rules too." "No love," she said quickly. "No touching, no control over my personal life." "Agreed." "No sharing a bed." "Of course." "No feelings," she added bitterly. Adrian's lips twitched. "That one is non-negotiable." She frowned. "What do you mean?" "I mean feelings aren't part of the contract," he said. "Not that they're forbidden." That sent a chill down her spine. She looked back at the number again. Then at the clause that promised her freedom after 6 months. 6 months, she whispered. Yes. And then I walk away. Adrian didn't hesitate. Yes. She signed. The pen felt heavier than it should have. As soon as she finished, Adrian stood. You move in tonight. Her head snapped up. Tonight. The press will leak the engagement by morning, he said. We don't allow gaps. Elara stared at him. This is insane. Yes, he agreed calmly, but it's necessary. As she stood to leave, something shifted. A quiet, dangerous shift she couldn't name. Adrian spoke again. Elara. She turned. This arrangement protects you, he said, as long as you don't forget what it is. And what is it? She asked. A lie, Adrian replied. She nodded slowly. She believed him. She had no idea that lie would soon become the most dangerous truth of her life. If you're already feeling the tension, don't forget to like this video. It helps the story reach more listeners. And if you enjoy deep, emotional romance stories like this, subscribe now so you don't miss what comes next. Elara barely slept that night. Not because the guest bedroom was uncomfortable, it was the opposite. Too soft, too quiet, too far from the life she recognized. She stared at the ceiling as dawn crept in, replaying the sound of the pen scratching her name onto the contract. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Adrian's face. Calm, certain, like he had already won something she didn't realize she was losing. A knock came at the door. She jolted upright. Yes. 5 minutes, Adrian's voice said from the other side. We leave at 7. For what? She asked. Breakfast, he replied. In public. Of course. She dressed quickly, choosing simple clothes that made her feel like herself, not like a woman pretending to be someone else's wife. When she stepped into the dining room, Adrian was already there, reading something on his tablet. He looked up once. Sit next to me. She hesitated. Why? Because couples sit together, he said, not looking at her again. Elara sat. The table was long, expensive, intimidating. The staff moved silently around them, setting plates neither of them touched. Do they know? She asked quietly. They know what they need to know, Adrian said, which is nothing. She watched him from the corner of her eye. In daylight, he looked less intimidating, but more real. Dark circles under his eyes, a tension in his jaw that didn't fade even when he drank his coffee. So, she said, how does this work? He finally turned to her. We appear affectionate in public, neutral in private. And if I don't feel like pretending one day? You will, he said calmly, because it benefits us both. She bristled. You keep saying us. Because from today, Adrian replied, our reputations are linked. That made her stomach twist. A phone buzzed. Adrian glanced at the screen, then stood abruptly. Time. As they stepped outside, flashes exploded immediately. Elara flinched, instinctively stepping closer to him. Adrian's hand settled at her lower back. She stiffened. Relax, he murmured without moving his lips. They're watching. She forced a smile as cameras clicked and voices shouted questions. Mr. Blackwood, is this your fiancé? When? The wedding. Adrian leaned down, his voice warm and convincing. Good morning, please be gentle with her. The protectiveness in his tone felt real. Too real. Elara glanced up at him, startled, and caught something flicker across his face. Not for the cameras, for her. The moment passed. Inside the car, silence fell again. You were convincing, she said. So were you. She folded her arms. Don't confuse convincing with comfortable. I don't, he replied. Comfort comes later. That sentence stayed with her all day. The days blurred together quickly. Interviews, events, appearances. Adrian never crossed a line, never touched her unnecessarily, never raised his voice. But he watched. He noticed when she skipped meals, when she grew quiet, when she clenched her fists during crowds. One evening, after a long charity dinner, Elara slipped out onto the balcony, desperate for air. She didn't hear him approach. "Are you running?" Adrian asked, "or breathing?" She startled, then sighed. "Breathing." He leaned against the railing beside her, not touching, just close enough to feel his presence. "You don't like crowds," he said. She frowned. "I never told you that." "You don't have to," he replied. "Your shoulders rise, your answers shorten." She glanced at him. "You observe too much." "It's how I survive." Something in his voice made her ask, "From what?" He didn't answer. They stood in silence until her breathing evened out. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For what?" "For noticing," she admitted. Adrian's gaze lingered on her face. "Don't thank me. It complicates things." "What things?" "This," he said. "Us." The words shouldn't have mattered. It did. That night, Elara lay awake again, but this time her thoughts were tangled differently. Less fear, more confusion. The next morning, she overheard staff whispering. "They look real. She's different from the others." Elara pretended not to hear. She reminded herself of the contract. 6 months, an end date. But when she returned to her room, she found a neatly folded sweater on the bed. Her sweater, the one she'd left behind at the office the day before. She carried it into the hallway and knocked on Adrian's door. He opened it almost immediately, like he'd been expecting her. "You forgot this," she said, holding it up. "I noticed," he replied. "So you went into my office?" "Yes." "That's not okay." Adrian met her gaze steadily. "I didn't touch anything else." "That's not the point." He sighed. "Elara." The way he said her name stopped her. "What?" she demanded. "You left without a jacket. It was cold." Her anger faltered. "I don't need you watching out for me," she said, softer now. "Yes," he replied quietly. "You do." She stepped back unsettled. "This is crossing lines." "No," Adrian said. "This is what happens when people live together." "We're not people," she snapped. "We're pretending." His jaw tightened. "Be careful." "Of what?" "Forgetting which lie keeps you safe." The word stung. Elara walked away, heart pounding. But later that night, when she reached for the sweater, she realized something terrifying. It smelled like him. And she didn't want to put it down. Elara noticed the change before she admitted it. Adrian started coming home earlier. At first, she told herself it meant nothing. Business slowed. Schedules shifted. Coincidence. But by the third evening in a row, she stopped pretending it was accidental. "You're back early," she said one night as he loosened his tie. "Yes." "That's it," she asked. No explanation. He looked at her. "Do I need one?" She shrugged, trying to sound casual. "Just observing." "So am I," he replied. That unsettled her more than silence. They ate dinner together most nights now, not across a long table but closer, sometimes talking, sometimes not. The quiet between them no longer felt sharp. It felt settled. That was the problem. One evening, she caught him staring at her. "What?" she asked. "You eat the edges of your bread first," he said. She blinked. "So?" "So nothing," he replied. "Just noticing." She pushed her plate away. "You need to stop doing that." "Doing what?" "Paying attention to me like I matter." His expression hardened. "You do matter." "Not like that," she snapped. "This is an arrangement." "Yes," Adrian said calmly, "and arrangements require maintenance." "That's not maintenance," she said. "That's intimacy." The word hung between them. He didn't deny it. A few days later, the jealousy surfaced. It was subtle at first. A waiter smiled too long. A business associate laughed at her joke. A stranger touched her arm during a photo. Adrian never reacted immediately. But later, always later, something shifted. "Did you enjoy talking to him?" Adrian asked one night as they rode home. Elara frowned. Who? The investor, he said, the one who kept leaning in. She scoffed. You're imagining things. I don't imagine, he replied. I calculate. She turned to face him. Why does it bother you? It doesn't. Then why bring it up? Silence. That's what I thought, she said quietly. From that night on, Adrian became careful. Too careful. He stood closer in public. His hand lingered longer at her waist. His presence became a wall no one crossed. People stopped approaching her. She should have felt relieved. Instead, she felt claimed. The realization hit her hard one afternoon when she tried to leave the house alone. I'll be back in an hour, she said, grabbing her bag. Adrian looked up from his phone. Where are you going? Out. With who? She stopped. That's not your concern. It is, he said evenly. She turned slowly. Why? Because the press. I'm not wearing a ring, she cut in. No cameras, no schedule, just me. Adrian stood. Take the driver. No. Elara. She clenched her jaw. I didn't sign up to be monitored. I didn't say monitored, he replied. I said protected. I don't need protection, she said sharply. He stepped closer. You live in my house. Her voice dropped. And you're reminding me why that scares me. Something passed between them then, something raw. You wanted security, Adrian said. I provide it. I wanted money, she replied. You provided control. His eyes darkened. Careful. No, she shot back. You be careful. You're starting to forget this is temporary. I haven't forgotten, he said quietly. She laughed bitterly. Then why does it feel like you're building a cage? Adrian stared at her for a long moment. Then he stepped back. Go, he said. Prove me wrong. She left shaking. But when she returned an hour later, something had changed. The gate security had been upgraded. The driver was waiting without being asked. Her phone buzzed with a message. Are you safe? She stared at the screen. She didn't reply. That night, she confronted him. You followed me. No. You knew where I was. Yes. That's the same thing. Adrian didn't raise his voice. You were in a public place. You crossed a line. He stepped closer. You crossed one first. By wanting air. By forgetting who gave you this life. The words cut deep. Elara's voice trembled. I gave you something too. What? My name, my image, my dignity. And I protected all of it, he replied. By owning it. By guarding it, he corrected. She shook her head. This isn't balanced anymore. Nothing powerful ever is. The silence that followed felt dangerous. You're afraid, she said suddenly. Adrian's eyes flickered. Afraid of what? He asked. Of losing me. His jaw tightened. Don't flatter yourself. I'm not, she said softly. I'm observing. He turned away. Go to bed. She didn't move. What happens when this ends? It ends, he said flatly. And then? There is no then. She swallowed. That's a lie. He turned back slowly. What would you have me say? The truth. His voice dropped. The truth is, I don't like who I become when you pull away. Her heart stuttered. That's not my responsibility, she whispered. No, Adrian said. It's my problem. But the way he looked at her said otherwise. That night, Elara locked her door. And for the first time since signing the contract, she wondered if she would ever leave this house freely again.